Adrian N. Breitfelder, City Clerk, you are hereby directed to call a special session of the City Council to be held on Monday, February 16th, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the historic Federal Building for the purpose of conducting a work session on Greater Dubuque Development Corporation.
Thank you. Good evening and welcome to a special session of the Dubuque City Council for February 16th, 2026. As a reminder to viewers and listeners, due to the nature of tonight's meeting topic, public input is not accepted. However, you may contact the City Council directly from the city's webpage at www.cityofdubuque.org/council-contacts. Attendance for the session is as follows. Mayor Kavanaugh.
Here.
Council members Leyendecker.
Here.
Resnick.
Here.
Roussel.
Here.
Sprank.
Here.
Thank you. Staver.
Here.
Wethel. Here. City Manager Van Milligan.
Here.
And City Attorney Brumwell.
Here.
Thank you. Our work session topic is Greater Dubuque Development Corporation Quarterly Update. I will turn it over to its President and CEO, Jason White.
Good evening, everybody. Jason White, President and CEO of Greater Dubuque Development Corporation. Pleased to be with you. First time, first quarterly update, so even more of a pleasure. So this evening is not a razzle-dazzle presentation. It's more of a kitchen table conversation. So looking forward to talking a little bit about where we are, where we've been as an organization, where we are as an organization, and where we will go going forward as an organization. Some of the things that I'm going to talk about tonight, I talked about earlier with the executive committee upon my hire, but also tailored some things this evening of things that are also of interest to the city specifically, as we seek to build, grow, and preserve the economy that we have. First month has really been a lot about building relationships and enhancing relationships, which might sound a little interesting, given that I've been here for almost 5 years, grew up here, et cetera, but really wanted to take the time, really as an external candidate would, and meet and build and preserve and enhance the relationships that we have with each of you, our stakeholders, our businesses, board members, staff, et cetera. In the future weeks and months ahead, I've talked to City Manager Mike Van Milligan. I plan to meet with those of you who I have not had a chance to sit down with yet, so I look forward to those conversations as well. First off, just want to talk a little bit about, usually I have somebody running my slides for me, so tonight this could be interesting. And candidly, the most important content tonight is not what's on the slides, it's the conversation. I look forward to answering any questions you have too. But so Jason, one of the things I've been...
Real quick, I need to interrupt you, I'm sorry. Eric, could you switch over so we're not watching the live feed? Thank you so much. That helps us see the screen up here. So thanks, Jason.
Yeah, sorry. Thanks, Mayor. No problem. First off, the question is, what kind of organization is Greater Dubuque Development? And one of the things I've discovered just going through this process and reaffirming is that this organization is one with a lot of history, a lot of strength, and has a solid foundation and a level of credibility among all of our stakeholders. It's also built for continuity and evolution. So I think that's one of the things that really talked about coming in is we have a lot of great things going on right now as an organization, a lot of support in our community, in our region, and those are the kind of things we want to continue to establish and maintain going forward, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And the other thing I just want to mention too is, just diagnosing where are we at as an organization, because that depends on what our track will be. And one of the things I talked to the executive committee about is, people want you to succeed when they give you a book to read to help you with your transition. And one of the books I was given was The First 90 Days by Michael Watkins. And one of the things he talks about is the different types of organizations based on the STAR method, which is startup, turnaround, accelerated growth, realignment, and sustained success. And what I really identified is we're in that realignment, sustained success. Well, that's easier said than done. Period as an organization. And when I say that is when you're in an early stage, you involve a lot of change, a lot of foundation, a lot of formation. As you get further into that, change becomes a little resistant because if things are working, why would you change it? So one of the things I think is important for a growing community, organization, et cetera, is to continue to look at ways that you can grow change, and innovate. And those are the kind of things that we're going to look at going forward and continuing to sell why that's important. So a few things that I heard while I was going through this process is that the board really values Greater Dubuque Development's impact and credibility. Very strong and united alignment on the need to continue to evolve in how we work and how we perform as an organization, and a shared desire for clearer goals, stronger strategies, and greater innovation. So when we talk about population growth, we talk about business growth, very strong alignment and expectations to continue to the twofold strategy of continuing to grow the economy and grow the population of our community, and do that in an opportunistic way that delivers value and really focuses on the future. So one of the things that I had a pleasure to be a part of was our last strategic planning effort, which took place last year. And the whole effort was really intended upon looking ahead to the next transition with the next CEO, looking at the things that need to be in alignment for us to continue to succeed as a region and as an organization. One of the things I was really excited about was this map right here, was to continue to focus on the greater part of Greater Dubuque, with Dubuque certainly as the center. And if you look at where Dubuque draws its workers, its workforce, its talent, it's that map right there. So you can see that the strength of our region and the people that come into our region comes from about an 8 to 9 county area. And we've been fortunate to be able to convene on a quarterly basis an organization informally called the Tri-State Economic Development Practitioners, which includes those counties and also Lafayette County. And when we do get together, we're representing about a 250,000 populated region. And I say that because, a couple months ago, Debbie Durham was talking about the Omaha Council Bluffs region, and was talking about how they have a 1 million person region, and they're effective in trying to compete for new business because they are able to draw from a larger mass of people and pull in several counties. And as we go forward, this is the kind of conversation we want to continue to have about the assets, the amenities, the population, the economic strength, with Dubuque as the center of that circumference of that 8 to 9 county region. And then the board was very clear in terms of what it wants us to focus on going forward. When you look at business support and attraction, certainly that's our bread and butter and has been for a long time. Population growth was actually called out as one of the top 4 strategic initiatives for our organization to focus on. And as we know, there's only a handful of counties in Iowa that are growing, and Dubuque is one of them. And we're very fortunate in that way. But we're also in Iowa, we're in the Midwest, and we're not growing as fast as we are in different parts of the country. So the board has really challenged us as a team to continue to focus on ways that we can align our strategies around continuing to bring people into our market. Organizational excellence, and then also regional collaboration, which I already talked about a little bit. We're really focused on right now on developing connections with the team, realigning our efforts there. We're a little bit of a smaller team than we were a month or 2 ago. So building that capacity and realigning our strengths with our current team is really important. We have a great team. I think you've heard and met many of them before, and representing workforce, business services, marketing, et cetera. And so we're in the process right now working with the team to make sure that we have all of our bases covered. We also have a very veteran team too. So we have a very experienced team, which also helps us stand out with other markets too. And building that business services capacity is important going forward, looking at new business, existing business, recruited business, and also looking at our operations team as a core strength. So certainly Karen and Anna, I would say, I call them our quality control team. So as we're continuing to look at different initiatives that we can take on and build upon as an organization, they continue to keep the trains moving on time. And then proving what works. So the brand of Greater Dubuque Development for a long time, for as long as I've been in this business, has been taking care of existing business, understanding the needs of existing business. And so we will continue to keep that as the forefront and number one priority of our organization. And over the next several months, looking at how we do that, how we collect data, how we follow up on that data, and how we deliver value as well. And then certainly our workforce solutions programming. And there's a couple of things I just wanted to highlight there. One is our Opportunity Dubuque program, which is focused on upskilling unemployed and underemployed people in our market, the hardest to reach populations in our market, and making sure that they have income opportunities to produce and contribute to their community. And right now, going back into 2012, our program that was supported by the city of Dubuque, Dubuque County, and DRA, we have had 3,882 completions from that program, 85% who ultimately enrolled and finished as well. And then also distinctively Dubuque, in this last calendar year, we had 117 newcomers to the Dubuque market that went through our 5-week program to become more integrated into our community, to feel included, to feel like they belong, because when you belong, you're more likely to contribute and support your community in a variety of different ways. We're also focused on building for the future. So a lot of focus during the interview process is how are we going to be a next generation economic development organization, recognizing the elements of business intelligence and artificial intelligence as well. And one of the questions was, what are we doing to help existing businesses engage with artificial intelligence? And one of the questions we've been looking at as a team is, how are we as a team utilizing AI? And so those are some of the conversations we're looking at how we can integrate that in some of our initiatives, our BR&E program, which has a lot of steps, right? And how can we continue to integrate that into our work and delivery for the clients that we serve. Site readiness is also a big component. If you're going to recruit or help existing and expanding businesses, it also always starts with real estate. So it starts with a site or it starts with a building. So continuing to look at the infrastructure that we have, the real estate portfolio that we have to help new and expanding businesses is going to be a stronger priority for this organization, which has been a priority over the years, but not easy to address. We have a really beautiful community, but our topography does not always lend us real well to be able to develop sites. And then certainly strengthen and reset key relationships, both as a team, the regional connections that we've been able to establish, and also from our board. I had a board member stop by today and I said, we want to get to know your network and we want to connect your network to our organization as well. And then thinking bigger, working regionally. We talked about the importance of regional connections and collaboration, talent and population attraction. I've challenged our team to come up with ideas, whether they're bad ideas or good ideas. We want ideas for how we can continue to grow our talent base and population base as well, compete for major projects. And one of the ways I've already identified with our site certification efforts that we're looking to pursue, and then laying the groundwork for the next successful fundraising campaign. Looking ahead, partnerships matter. So alignment with our key partner with the city of Dubuque is essential to this community and our organization's success going forward. Really been a pleasure so far to connect with the city team in many different ways, and the many meetings we've been a part of, DRT, economic development meetings, city planning staff, engineering, et cetera. Always coming to the table with solutions to the issues that our clients have, which has also been very important. Economic development is a team sport, so recognizing that sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree, but we're all on the same team. So if one of us fumbles on the 1-yard line trying to score a touchdown, we have each other's support and lift each other up for the next play. One thing I wanted to highlight with the time I have here, and I'm not sure how much time I have here, looks like I got 5 more minutes before Q&A, is one of the things I don't think we've ever shared officially, and that is the information that we gather from our existing business surveys. So through our info action process, from which we visit 250 plus visits or businesses every year and ask them a whole series of questions about their market, their workforce, community services, et cetera. We also run quarterly and annual dashboards that we share with our stakeholders, our board, our investors, et cetera. And this is a snapshot of that from the last quarter of 2025. And a couple of things I just wanted to highlight real quick from the 70 total interviews that we conducted is, first off, you'll see in that middle column, we have a public services index. So we ask on a scale of 1 to 7, employers to rate their satisfaction with each one of those public services. And so you can see the last quarter was not our best quarter in terms of the vibe that we got from our employers, which includes not just Dubuque, but also companies we talked to in the tri-state area. And you can see from that there were 15 benchmarks that went down. But that's not why I bring that up. I want to bring it up because of the 3 benchmarks that went up. And that was childcare, housing, and air service. So 3 major initiatives that we have collaboratively worked on between Greater Dubuque Development and the city of Dubuque over the last couple of years to address. But those scores all went up. Of course, air service was still rated low, but nonetheless, it was the fastest growing improving rating over the last quarter for the time period that we benchmarked. We also noted that 52% of businesses said that they plan to increase, that their sales increased, up from 35% last year, with 34% citing stable levels and 14 decreasing levels. We also saw that although 60% of companies interviewed that quarter face workforce recruitment challenges with specific positions or skills, 50% anticipating adding net new jobs in the coming year, and that 81% of companies interviewed reported that the community is attractive for recruiting and recruiting talent from outside the area. And finally, I just wanted to mention a couple of things we're working on right now to advocate for legislative tools. So the Chamber of Commerce is the lead organization in the Dubuque area for legislative advocacy. But we have a strong partnership between the Chamber of Commerce and our organization. But there are a couple of things right now in the Iowa legislature that are getting enhanced scrutiny that we've really relied on to continue to grow as a community. One of those is tax increment financing. And we have, in the last couple of weeks, reached out to the Chamber of Commerce on a collaborative project to connect with developers and business owners that have done a project in Dubuque, in the greater Dubuque area over the last 10 years, asking for their support and testimonial to contact their legislators and the governor's office to talk about why this tool is so important for their growth and the community's growth as well. The projects that we've reached out to include on the housing side, 1,565 units and $307.6 million in capital investment supported by TIF. And on the business side, 749 jobs and $312.9 million in TIF-assisted projects. So not an insignificant number of impact over the last 10 years. And we've gotten good response so far. The governor's office has responded to a couple of business owners who have responded in the last couple of days. So encouraged by the dialogue that the governor's office and our legislators are now engaging us in this conversation. And the second tool just wanted to bring up, which in the arena we call 260E, which is the Iowa New Jobs Training Program. And this is administered by their community colleges, and in our region, Northeast Iowa Community College. But what this program does is it issues a bond for an expanding business that's adding jobs. That money is then used by the employer to train employees and is then paid back through the payroll taxes from the new employees. So the Iowa legislature is currently looking at a proposal to remove this program from Northeast Iowa Community College and other community colleges and centralize it at the state level, state government. So we believe that this loss of local control effectively would be detrimental certainly to Northeast Iowa Community College or other community colleges, but certainly for our employers that really view this as a differentiating program between Iowa and other states. So that's something we're also currently working on as well. So with that, I'm going to conclude and open it up to any questions. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Jason. Any questions? Mr. Resnick?
Thank you. Well, you're an important partner for us, so thank you for being a great partner. If you would, just tell our residents and, if you could compare and contrast what you do with the chamber. So tell us how you're same, but mostly how you're different. I mean, and it seemed from your presentation that taking direct action such as child care promotion would be one of those things. Could you talk about your connection and how you're different from the chamber?
Yeah, certainly. So the Chamber of Commerce is more of a kind of a networking or business-to-business membership-based organization. So when you join the chamber, it's an opportunity to engage in networking events, engage in some of their business-to-business networking programs to do business with one another, to attend their events for education purposes. And also our Chamber of Commerce, and this is why I created the differentiating point before, that they're focused on creating a legislative advocacy program to represent the business community in the greater Dubuque area, particularly Dubuque. So where our organization is, we're kind of more of a nuts and bolts organization focused on working directly with the client to help them on an expansion project or troubleshoot an issue, whether it's a regulatory issue at the state level, a planning issue through the DRT process, whether it's better understanding tools such as tax increment financing, as I mentioned before, or a state program or a tax credit program. So basically channeling the resources of the community to support whatever they need to be successful here. And also identifying talent. So we mentioned our workforce programs as well, so we're very engaged in a number of those types of things as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Ms. Wethel.
So I just had a question. It would be on slide 11. We have received a dashboard similar to this, broken down at different times and different quarters. What I'm interested to know is, this is the quarter of October to December, what the previous quarter was so that we can judge the amount or up or down.
Okay.
And then any qualitative data you could provide to us from employers that interviewed with you to give us a little bit more detail as far as why these numbers are where they're at, maybe what the change was perceived as for them personally in their own business, just so that we can dig a little deeper. That would be really helpful for me. I don't know if that's possible, but
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, so this is a snapshot, right?
Right.
And so there's about 90 pieces of data, 90 points of data that we collect through our info action process. So that's, again, we're going through this process right now of evaluation over the next couple months, and it's a good, healthy exercise for us to go through. Because there's a lot of detail that we don't share, right? And some of it's confidential, but some of it's not. And there's like information, for example, on supply chain, right? There's information on there about exporting, right? Who's exporting? Who's selling to other countries? And that's a big issue right now because of the turbulence happening with tariffs, for example, on international trade. So there's a lot of information I think that can still be gleaned from this that can help us, could help you, and also could get a better sense of some of the challenges they're facing on a macro level as well.
Yeah, I think, I'd like to know what is something that would be perceived within our control and what is an external force related to those changes. So
Good question.
Thanks.
We'll strive to do that.
Great.
Anybody else?
I had a question.
Yeah, Mr. Staver.
So on these interviews, is there, so is this just a verbal interview, or is there a questionnaire that you provide, or?
There's a questionnaire, yeah.
Okay.
It's about 7 and 8 pages.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to see that questionnaire
Yeah.
as well,
Absolutely.
just to put all of it into context.
Yep, good questions.
All right. Well, if there are no further questions, Jason, Mr. Sprank, do you have, thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Sprank, do you have any questions or?
No, just appreciate all the information and, of course, talking to our state legislators about TIF.
All right, thank you, sir.
Good.
All right, Jason, well, thank you very much
Thanks,
for being
guys.
here, and congratulations once again on in getting your place in this position. So we appreciate working with you and look forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. Thanks for your
All right,
time. Appreciate
thank you.
it.
Thank you.
Well, there's no further business in the work session. We'll be adjourned for about 4 minutes here.